It's going to be a great day.
Good morning. Dallas Chapter SAR come to order. I'd like to call on Chaplain Frank Pounders to give us a sick call and our invitation.
Sick call this morning for two of our members who are not with us, George Foxtrot and Charles Baker. Mrs. Baker is here. Say hello. Hello. Hey. Anyone else? If not, let's pray. God, we have gathered here to honor you by being ourselves the best that we can be. And in that regard, we believe, we hope at least, that by serving in this organization, we're helping young people, whoever they may be, to become better and better citizens of this great United States of America. So we applaud the children, and we take a little applause ourselves, and we say thank you for all of the blessings that you've given us. In the name of the Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Now I'd like the Patriot Larry Kramer to lead us in the Pledge to Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Marshal Scanlon, would you lead us in the Texas flag?
Please join me in honoring the Texas flag.
I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
And for the affirmation of the SAR pledge, Jerry Brown.
We descendants of the heroes of the American Revolution, who by their sacrifices established the United States of America, reaffirm our faith in the principles of liberty, our constitutional republic, and solemnly pledge ourselves to defend them against every foe.
John Morton, would you lead us in America?
My country is the sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's side, from every mountain side, let freedom ring.
Good voice, John. All right, please be seated.
Skip Texas flag.
Ralph McDowell, our hospitality chairman.
Yeah, Frank Pounders got this with the greeters, so let's give Frank a big hand. About a hand for you.
Yeah.
We have a number of fine guests this morning, a few that I would mention from our SAR state level. David Temple, our president-elect, Gary Lovell, our District 6 VP, Greg Petty, our state secretary, and Tracy Penders, our chancellor. We welcome you, gentlemen.
And Frank Pounders, chaplain.
And the chaplain. I apologize, thank you. Let's start, Marshall, you don't have any guests this morning. Let's start with Jerry Brown. Let's start with your table of guests this morning.
No guests.
No guests. Need guests. Okay. Next table.
I have my wife Susie Phil with me.
Larry, your table? How about behind them? There's some guests.
My wife's in the irons.
Yes. You can see around the flowers. Gary, you want to introduce your wife?
It's my wife, Mindy. She's a DAR base regent in Rockwall. And I just mentioned this Memorial Day, she is dedicating a Veterans Memorial for the city of McClendon Chisholm. And everybody's invited to come. So.
Fantastic. Thank you.
She's the state vice chair for the DAR Education Committee, and we're dealing with Indian tribe in Oregon and Chihuahua. So we're going to be going to Oregon sometime.
Good for you guys. Yes, sir.
I'd like to mention you got one state officer you forgot, Mr. Jerry Brown, your inland.
Jerry Brown, and how could I forget him? He recently became our state registrar after doing in the capacity here at the local chapter. And by the way, thank you for jumping in for that, because we were really, thank you. Great. David?
Yeah, this is Ray Fox, a prospective member. Bumped into each other. We worked together 35 years ago.
How about this table right here?
Yes, I have my mother, Bradley Sue Howell, as a guest. And also we have Barbara Baker.
All right. John, you got a guess at your table? I can't see for the flowers. Okay, we're good. Okay.
Tom, you want the medal?
I was hoping to surprise my mother with everybody singing happy birthday to her, but she's indisposed, which means more cake for me and not her. But as soon as she comes back, I may interject to ask you to join in this. She's celebrating her 100th birthday coming in July. She won't be in the state here, but she'll be with my brother. And I figure if I could do one upsmanship on him, I would try to do that. But I thank you very much all for signing her card, and we'll just see how things transpire.
Amen.
When Betty returns, I'm sure she's been surprised. This morning, I was talking with our favorite secretary, and he asked me if I would contribute something, because this is the day before Mother's Day, and we're honoring all the wonderful women in our lives.
Could I ask you to get a little closer to that microphone?
I will get as close as
Oh, wait.
How's that? Okay. That's the first time everybody's told me I wasn't loud enough. That's good. Anyhow, as we honor the women in our lives this morning, I thought it would be a great time to also honor the women that helped found our country. And ABC TV correspondent Cookie Roberts authored a book by that very name, Founding Mothers. And in her book, she follows the lives of some of the most famous women of the Revolutionary era. Abigail Adams, Mary Bartlett, Benjamin Franklin, Martha Jefferson. All of these were wives of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. There are, of course, Martha Washington, Margaret Shippen Arnold, both were wives of military folks, and of course, Betsy Ross, the most famous seamstress of our time. But I venture to guess that most people in the room would not recognize the name Mary Ludwig Hayes Macaulay. That's enough. And yet Mary was one of the most famous heroines of the Revolution, and Mary and I have something in common. True story. Mary Laybook was born in Trenton, New Jersey on October 13, 1744. Mary's family included her older brother, John, and their parents, Maria, and Johann George Ludwig, that were German immigrants. She never attended school. She never learned to read, as education was considered a waste of money on girls at that time. Her father died in 1769, and following June, her mother married a gentleman by the name of John Hayes. In early 1777, Molly married William Hayes, a cousin of her stepfather, in the town of Carlisle, Pennsylvania. In that same year, William Hayes enlisted in the 4th Pennsylvania Artillery of the Continental Army, and during the winter of 1777, Molly Hayes joined her husband at the Continental Army's winter camp at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. She was one of a group of women led by Martha Washington, known as camp followers, who would wash clothes and blankets and care for the sick and dying soldiers. As William was training as a military officer, Mary Hayes and the camp followers served as water carriers, carrying water to the troops who were drilling in the field. Also, artillerymen needed a constant supply of fresh water to cool down the hot cannon barrel and to soak the sponge at the end of the ramrod, the long pole which is used to clean the sparks and the gunpowder out of the barrel. It was during this time that Mary Hayes probably received her nickname, as troops would shout, "Molly, pitcher," wherever they needed fresh water. And that's where the story of Molly Pitcher begins. In the Battle of Monmouth, which was the British troops had left Philadelphia, and they had occupied it since October of 1977 and headed to New York, George Washington moved his army out of Valley Forge and pursued the British through New Jersey, catching them at Monmouth Courthouse. At that battle, on June 1778, Mary Hayes attended the Revolutionary soldiers by giving them water. Just before the battle started, she found a spring to serve as her water supply. 2 places on that battlefield currently are marked as the Molly Pitcher Spring. Mary Hayes spent much of her early day caring for the soldiers and the artillerymen, and often under heavy fire from the British troops. The weather was very hot that day. It was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Sometime during the battle, William Hayes collapsed, either wounded or suffering from heat exhaustion. As her husband was carried off the battlefield, Mary Hayes took his place at the cannon. For the rest of the day, in the heat of the battle, Mary continued to swab and load the cannon, using her husband's ramrod. At one point, a British musket ball, or cannonball, flew between her legs and tore off the bottom of her skirt. Mary supposedly said something to the effect of, "Well, that could have been worse if it had been going a little higher." In his memoir about the Revolutionary War, Private Joseph Plum Martin, a Revolutionary soldier, recalls this very incident in his writing at the Battle of Monmouth. And he wrote, "A woman whose husband belonged in the military and who was attached to the cannon at an engagement attended with her husband at the cannon the whole time, while in the act of reaching for a cartridge and having one of her feet far in front of the other, a cannonball from the enemy passed directly through her legs without doing any damage except carrying away the lower part of her petticoat." Later in the evening, the fighting was stopped due to darkness, and although George Washington and his commanders expected the battle to continue the following day, British forces retreated during the night and continued up towards Sandy Hook, New Jersey. After the battle, George Washington asked about the woman whom he had seen loading a cannon on the battlefield. In commemoration of her courage, he issued Mary Hayes a warrant as a non-commissioned officer. Afterwards, she was known as Sergeant Molly, a nickname that she used the rest of her life. Excuse me. Following the end of the war, Mary Hayes and her husband William, who did survive the battle, returned to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and during this time, Mary gave birth to a son, John. In 1778, William Hayes died, and in 1793, Mary Hayes married John Macaulay. Macaulay was a stonecutter for the local prison, Carlisle prison. However, the marriage was reported not a happy one, as Macaulay had a violent temper. He had a violent temper. It was Macaulay who was the cause of Mary's financial downfall, causing Mary to sell 200 acres of bounty land left to her by her husband, William Hayes, for $30, sometimes between 1807 and 1810. Macaulay disappeared, and it is not known what happened to him. Mary Macaulay continued to live in Carlisle, and she earned her living as a general servant for hire, cleaning and painting houses, washing windows, and caring for children and sick people. Sergeant Molly, as she was known, was often seen in the streets of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, wearing a striped skirt, wool stockings, and a ruffled cap. She was well liked by the people of Carlisle, even though she often cursed like a sailor. On February 21st, 1822, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania awarded Mary McCauley an annual pension of $40 for her service. Mary died January 22nd, 1832, in Carlisle at the approximate age of 88. Through time, many things have been talked about Molly Pitcher, and we have remembered her in many ways. There's roads named after her. There's a rest area on the turnpike in New Jersey that's named after her. And even the military Fort Bragg out in California, they have an annual Molly Pitcher Day where they show off artillery guns on her behest. With all of that honor, you probably wonder what it is that Molly Pitcher and I have in common. Well, Molly and her husband fought at the Battle of Monmouth. And two of my ancestor patriots, Jacob Van Fossen and Leonard Van Fossen, also fought at the Battle of Monmouth. And now you know the rest of the story.
Isn't it terrible to get old?
Speaking of old, she's going to have to leave us in about another 100 years. But I wanted to particularly let her know how the people of Dallas appreciate her letting me be here amongst you. And I celebrate my 99th birthday tomorrow. So that shows you how young she was when I was born. But in any case, if I could have Tracy do it in Italian and everybody else to sing happy birthday, I would appreciate it.
Everybody knows the words. Okay, just sing it in your own tongue.
One thing that you know about me, I was going to do something up super, and so I was going to get a cake for her. It says exactly why I didn't like this one, but it says Happy 100 Betty, and then when I took the lid off, good old Kroger did it for me. They got a small enough box that it took all the icing off of the cake. And, which is par for the course. And when I asked for the lady that did this, they said she left town. But I would also like to gain about 150 points from National by getting a picture of her with the cake and a few of the guys in the background as if you were singing happy birthday to her. I think we can get some points for the chapter and for the state. If you don't mind taking just a moment, anybody that can come up would be great. Joseph, would you take the picture here, please? Oh, yeah. See, they run it. Okay, if you'll stand behind her.
Look at they're all good looking.
I think you're being generous.
Okay, let me slide on the other side. side, Mom, because I want 20 points along with you. Don't push on it too hard.
I want to thank all of you for being so nice to my boy. That's all we hear at home is SAR. We got to the place where we don't want to hear it anymore. That's what I'm doing. Proud of the things that you all were doing, and thank you for that.
She is a former DAR in South Texas. Thank you all for the interruption. Thank you.
Well, that's good.
I'm proud of her. God bless you.
You're stuck around.
I know.
Happy birthday.
Not too often. Oh, yeah.
It was wonderful to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you for the cakes. Well, I'm sitting here.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I don't really claim him, but I wouldn't.
Frank, I know, I overmarried, I understand.
But you gotta
Get them now so I don't walk off and take everything.
And now, it's my pleasure to talk about this morning's speaker. And I have to pay homage to my wife. I know it's Mother's Day tomorrow, but my wife actually, in my world, discovered this gentleman about 5 or 6 months ago, I guess. She saw a little snippet on TV about a young man who's 17 years old, 18, now 18. And he has a great project that he started when he was a very young man. I'm not going to steal his thunder, because I do want him to talk about how he got started in the project that he's in. But I will tell you, if you just gaze to this side of the room when his discussion is over and when the meeting's over, I highly recommend you take a look at some of the memorabilia that he brought this morning. It is fascinating. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Andy Fincher.
Tom, thank you for that wonderful introduction, and thank you, Sons of the American Revolution, for having me out here today. Well, my interest in World War II began when I was 9 years old. I was sifting through old family photographs when I stumbled on one of a young man in military uniform. Handwritten on the back of this aged black and white postcard was Italy, 1945. I quickly discovered this individual was my late great-grandfather, Gene Thurman Fancher. Now, being young, I had many questions regarding his service, but very few answers from my family. As it turns out, he shared no details of his personal World War II experience prior to his early death in 1970. And so, because of the unknown, my curiosity in this momentous war began. I went online regularly and watched countless documentaries on the History Channel. I realized the severity of our Allied powers' victory and knew us as a society were in great debt to these World War II veterans. However, I felt something was missing from these informative programs, and that is the first-hand accounts of our greatest generation. Now, don't get me wrong, people were interviewing these guys, but not to the quality they deserved and not with the passion that I had. So, I felt a calling to meet my heroes and capture their stories personally. However, I lacked the necessary equipment for this project at the time, so I began saving up. By age 15, I had 2 Canon cameras and a microphone. I created a YouTube page under my name and designated the project Andy Fancher Presents. 1 month into age 16, I interviewed my first World War II veteran. That was nearly 2 years ago. I am 18 now and have since then learned a great deal. I've spoken with World War II veterans from all walks of life, from all military branches, from all combat theaters. And a handful of these 90-plus-year-olds have become more than just my heroes, but family. They've invited me to book signings, birthday parties, routine lunches, car shows, visits to the VA, and much, much more. Quite honestly, I cherish every minute of it. And in the summer of 2017, my project did catch a little bit of publicity. As of today, I have been featured on NBC5, Fox 4, Dallas Morning News, CBS 11, Southwest Now magazine, LAC 2, a French magazine in Paris, and most notably, NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. These are all tremendous accomplishments on behalf of getting these stories told. My project has picked up great speed and won't be slowing down anytime soon. I will continue to do the best I can with everything I've got to ensure that these stories are preserved for future generations. Thank you. Okay, I've brought along 2 of my completed episodes from this web series, and if my computer will load, which I had it all up and running a minute ago, it's not playing now.
It went to sleep.
Did it? That's not good. It even had a full battery. Great.
It's not dead.
It's not supposed to be good.
Always the way. Yes. Technology jumps up with lights.
Yeah, really.
It really does. Regular.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Everything was running perfectly. Well, while that is loading, and are you just going to watch that and see if it comes on? Okay, while that's loading, I'll talk about what's on this table over here. So, I've interviewed over 70 World War II veterans, and these guys have, a lot of which have left me with pieces from their service. They've gifted it to me to then put on my traveling display. Most notably, I interviewed an individual named Louis Beavers, and he was about 93 years old. And after our interview, he said, there's something I want to give to you. And that was his entire Navy uniform from World War II. That is what is draped over the chairs right there. It comes with the peak coat, the pants, the whole 9 yards. It is a truly incredible piece. It crossed the equator 3 times and was over in Australia, that's right, for roughly 3 years. That was just so momentous that he gave that to me. Now, in addition to World War II, I've interviewed about 2 Vietnam guys, and there's a real interesting character that I had the pleasure of making a friend of. His name is Kenny Woodall, and that is his Vietnam flak jacket right there in green. He wore that from 68 to 69 over in the bushes, and there was actually a piece of shrapnel in the left hard pocket there. You can see a little hole, and that was a landmine that detonated near him, and it killed his best friend. But had that piece gone through, it would have gone through his heart and killed him, but he luckily made it out. And in addition to that, I've got a bunch of other smaller pieces. There's just one-time gifts, such as the service prayer book from a Navy veteran, the Luftwaffe hat that a individual had confiscated from a German Air Force veteran, the Soviet belt buckle and stamps and all this jazz. And in addition, my brother, Cameron Fancher, he served several tours over in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he brought back some pretty incredible memorabilia from his time over there in the Saddam era. And do you see those Saddam bills there? He brought back about 6 of these Saddam bills, Then I have those in the plastic cases. There we go. And another very interesting piece is that golden flare gun there. This was an Air Force veteran, Air Corps veteran. And, is it up? Is it up? Space bar. Okay, perfect. Now we got it up and running. I'll talk about those later.
Can we turn the lights down?
Lights out.
Again, very sorry about the delay. I'm very sorry. I had all this up and running prior to the start here. But this video is spotlighting a 91-year-old who had never shared his story on camera prior to meeting with me.
Texas time was very hot, and everything was a good bargain compared to today's prices. But then, not too many people had a nickel or a dime. In the fall of 1943, at age 17, Melvin Cusin walked away from his first semester at UT Austin and volunteered for the U.S. Army. So I just dropped everything and went on downtown. I just really wanted to be, I couldn't wait to be drafted, you know. I mean, you don't have much sense when you're a young guy. So he was immediately sent off to the University of Missouri, where he remained for roughly 3 months before being called for active duty. And the minute I turned 18, I went into Camp Robinson for induction, then sent to Fort Hood, Texas, and for basic training. And from there, I was sent to Camp Campbell, Kentucky, to join the 20th Armored Division. And I was in the 155th Armored Infantry Battalion, Company C. In February of 1945, the 20th Armored Division left America for war-torn Europe, an area where Mel would remain for the collapse of Nazi Germany, as well as several months after. We were a fresh new outfit, and our outfit had a bunch of real young guys in it like me, who were 18 years old. After a month's assembly, the 20th Armored left France, moved through Belgium, and arrived in Germany on April 10, 1945. Yeah, almost all of them were shambles. Break your heart if you go through there. You just wonder, my God, how can these people exist? But they did. During their push across Germany, the 20th Armored supported several engagements against the falling Reich, all of which resulted in American victory. While the German army was in retreat, they were really in full retreat, yet they always set up resistance. We were lucky we went through that pretty well. With Hitler in hiding, an Allied tower all across Germany, the war's conclusion was in sight. However, one major city still awaited elements of the 20th Armored Division. This was close to Munich. It was about 100 miles north of Munich. We ran into an ambush. It was a German SS officers' anti-tank school. This was the only time I was really scared. We managed to get behind a kind of a berm, an earthen wall. We were helpless, like that. We couldn't even respond. And so this is what we were sitting ducks, and that's what was so scary. And that encounter lasted a couple of hours. And none of us thought we'd get out of there alive. And we were still a bunch of kids. You got to remember, we were put yourself really in that position. This is exactly how it worked. After defeating over 700 SS troops in their failed ambush, the 20th Armored pushed on and assisted in the swift capture of Munich. Hours after its liberation, Adolf Hitler committed suicide.
This is a solemn but glorious hour. General Eisenhower informs me that the forces of Germany have surrendered to the United Nations. The flags of freedom fly all over Europe.
Now, I think I want to be remembered for my optimism. I've always believed that things happen for the good, and I always think that good things are going to be in the future.
Okay, so that was just one of the many episodes. And Tom tells me we have time for one more, so I'm going to play a little 6-minute episode here on an individual that is very special to me. Prior to meeting me, he had never shared any detail of his World War II experience, not to his wife, not to his daughter. And you just see him open up here on camera. It's quite spectacular.
County, Texas, about 30 miles west of Lifetown in an old farmhouse.
After volunteering for the military in late 1943, James Eugene Odom reported for active duty on January 2nd, 1944. He was inducted into the U.S. Navy and soon after sent to San Diego for basic training.
But it was about 3 weeks and 5 days. They were so in need of replacements. They were getting killed. They dispatched within that to round them up. But anyhow,
upon his completion of a quick basic training, Gene was assigned and deployed aboard the USS Hyperion, a substandard naval supply ship destined for the war-torn Pacific.
You know, this day, Lord, I've never seen that much water. I've never seen anything bigger than the rowboat. So to take me and put me there, it was exciting.
Over the next few months, Gene docked at countless ports across the Pacific, unloading crucial supplies to assist in our war efforts against Japan.
And we loaded up with food and clothing and other items and ammunition and what have you. So we were just a big grocery truck.
In September of 1944, Hyperion was assigned to a 33-ship convoy designated 78.8 Reinforcement Group. The destination, Leyte Gulf. The mission was to invade and liberate the Philippines from Japanese occupation. And so, on October 17th of 1944, America's Battle of the Philippines commenced. The campaign began with Leyte Gulf, in which 3,000 service members were killed in the first 12 days of fighting.
That was the largest flotilla of ships that had ever happened anywhere on Earth at that time. And we must have had 80 or more ships in that bay.
In her efforts to supply our land and shore operations, Hyperion was involuntarily engaged in a total of 37 Japanese air attacks.
And we got credited with shooting down 3 planes, my ship did. But, you know, when you get out there and you've got 40, 50 ships, so I don't know how authentic that was, because we were not a hiding ship.
After 2 grueling weeks unloading cargo, Hyperion exited the bay and steamed south. Luckily, Gene didn't leave Leyte empty-handed.
Yeah, I took it off of one of those gaps, but this was hooked on his belt. And I didn't think he needed it any longer.
In late April 1945, Hyperion loaded up 6,500 tons of Army engineering equipment and soon after steamed for Okinawa.
It was a little different operation there. We didn't fire up even in Okinawa, our guns. So actually Okinawa was capable compared to Leipzig. Leipzig was the bad.
It took 18 days to discharge her cargo, and after a light bombardment by Japan, Hyperion was back at sea. As war drew to a close, Hyperion sailed for San Francisco on August 4th, 1945, ending 2 years of continuous service in the Pacific. In August of 2017, I was contacted by the Gary Sinise Foundation's Soaring Valor program. Soaring Valor serves to provide our World War II veterans with a trip to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. And so, after several weeks of planning, an all-expense-paid trip was hosted for Gene Odom and I. We were accompanied by his wife and youngest daughter for 3 days in the Big Easy.
I enjoyed it. They've got a wonderful display, and especially like the people that were there. They were courteous, knowledgeable, willing. It was an excellent day.
I'm just glad that I was able to talk him into coming down here. It's been very nice. I enjoyed all the exhibits today, and I was so glad that Gene has gotten to see this.
Well, are you glad you came to New Orleans?
Oh, yeah, I'm glad I came. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. There's nothing been any other way but enjoyable all at once.
All right, so yeah, those were just two of the nearly 70 plus World War II veteran stories that I've had the honor of capturing. But I've come to the point where I am in need of your help to keep this video series alive. Up until this point and this time, I have funded this project entirely out of pocket through several part-time jobs. But I'm just asking you all to please contribute, whether through a one-time or monthly donation, to just keep this story and keep these episodes coming. Because this is my passion, and I would just very much appreciate it. So you all can go to my website, you can subscribe for more World War II stories, and you can donate at andyfancherpresents.com. Thank you all very much for having me.
Well, Andy, thank you. That's amazing. I thought I knew something about World War II, but I guess I was wrong. And I was a history major, which is really good. Could you do one thing? Would you please introduce your guests?
Do that. All right, so I brought with me my mother and father, Kelly and Robert Fancher. In addition, I have brought my grandmother and grandfather, David and Cindy Cronin, from my mother's side.
Now, it's wonderful they came to see son and grandson do this, but more importantly, in about 4.5 hours, this young man's going to graduate from high school. And it just so happens he's one of 10 very special people that are homeschooled. And these 10 people are going to graduate in 4.5 hours, and all these good people right here are going to be there to give him his diploma. I think that's fantastic. It is.
She homeschooled.
You were the homeschooler. Oh, my. Together.
It's a group effort.
So we have the faculty as well as the family. That's right.
I'm the principal.
I bet that's true.
Right.
Right now, we have some things we'd like to. Questions?
Over here.
Oh, you got a question?
From what school are you graduating, Andy?
Well, we-
Homeschool, but I did a little co-op and I did dual credit at Mount View.
Thank you.
John?
What are you gonna do after you graduate? What plans do you have going forward?
So going forward, I'm gonna keep interviewing these World War II vets. And in addition, I'm gonna get my associate's degree from Mountain View and then go to broadcast journalism and major in that from UNT.
You'd be good at that.
Well, here's open.
Would you join me, sir?
Now we gotta take the picture.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Can I take the picture for you?
No, ma'am.
Marshall, you're as close as anybody. Why don't you come up? Because you had a good conversation with this young man about World War II. Andy, this is a certificate of appreciation for the presentation this morning and for the work that you've done.
Sam, I'll get Marshall.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're gonna ask for another picture after this.
I will get you. On the same thing, as a symbol of our liberty and our independence, we always give a Liberty Bell to our students.
Cool.
Get a picture?
Now you can set those down for the next one.
Mm-hmm. They'll go on the display table over there.
This one's from the chapter,
Okay.
and not just of appreciation for you being here, but appreciation for what you're going to do forward.
Anyone from the chapter presents you our Outstanding Citizenship Award. And there is a collar button for you to wear proudly from the Sons of the American Revolution.
Wonderful.
You can wear that on your lapel as you're interviewing them.
Yes.
And when they say, well, what is this for? You can say, it's from the Sons of the American Revolution because I'm going to do my genealogy research and I'm going to join them.
Yes.
He and I have already talked about that, as a matter of fact. He needs to gather the information from the people at that table and see how far we can go back and see if we can't find someone who may have been a patriot for the family. Well, Andy, I thank you. And again, when we get finished with the meeting, please don't hesitate to come take a look at his display. Okay? And now, if I could, I would like to have Drake Petty join me here at the podium.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. If you'd indulge me for just a second, I noticed your moment of levity is reduced to a piece of paper. I don't think Charles Baker would like that. I'm going to introduce a verbal moment of levity that I think Dr. Baker would appreciate. If we're you're in church on Sunday morning, and the preacher starts talking, and he says, you know, we've got a little bit of a financial difficulty. All churches at some point, maybe Park City's not, but has financial difficulties at one time or another, having enough donations coming in the door. And he says, you know what, today, special deal for all the congregation. You can, for $1,000, you can pick any 3 hymns you want. And nobody raises their hand. And he asks the second time, come on, $1,000, the rectory needs a lot of repairs. can somebody help us for $1,000, any 3 hymns you want? Finally, a little lady in the back of the room stands up, waves her hand, and she says, "Sir, I'll be happy to give you $1,000 for 3 hymns." And he says, "That's wonderful. Which 3 hymns do you want?" She looks around the room, she says, "Him, and him, and him." As state secretary, one of my major functions is to manage the membership for the society, one of about 30 different things I do. And it's a pretty hectic chore. And we've got about 3,100 members that we consider active in the Texas Society, biggest in the country. And that keeps me pretty busy because we get about 350 to 400 new members a year. We get about 50 to 60 changes in membership every month. And like I said, about 400 new members a year. So I want to commend the Dallas chapter for the wonderful work that they do in helping us get members paid up, which is not an easy chore. People get their due statements in October, and believe it or not, it takes them 3 or 4 months to get the money in, and then it takes good folks like Ralph trying to pull teeth to get members paid up. And just a secret, when I rolled over the database at the first of the year, Dallas, of course, was the #1 chapter in the state, followed by only 5 members by the Patrick Henry chapter down in Austin. That's how close they were to catching y'all, okay? But thanks to the work of Ralph, y'all are now about 35 to 40 members ahead of Patrick Henry chapter. Y'all do a superb job. So, as part of the membership, and Ralph can attest to this, when you see the membership rosters that we pass out every couple times a month, you'll see about 10, 15 different categories of members that people will look and say, why can't we just say active or not paid? Well, we have to do an annual report every year, just like the chapters have to do an annual report, and everybody kind of falls into a bucket. When you paid, how you paid, whether you're a junior member, whether you're deceased or not, memorial members, somebody transfers in, somebody transfers out. We also have a class of members. Before I get much farther, can I have our president-elect come and join me? I'd like to make this is kind of a state presentation, and this is his home turf, Dallas chapter, so I'd like him to kind of help me with this, make the presentation. We have a class of membership. Of course, we have a life membership. That's where you pay a certain amount. You don't pay dues anymore, which is kind of a neat deal. But you've got to write a check to do that, which we're happy to take. So is National. But you don't get a bill every. Well, actually, you do get a bill, but it's for balances of 0. There's another class of membership, which in doing the reconciliation this year, we have to bookkeep and account for, and it's for something we call an emeritus member. And I looked into books, and we've had, ever since I've been state secretary, we've had 3 emeritus members in the state of Texas. Well, what's it take to be an emeritus member? Well, you have to be a member of the Sons of the American Revolution for 50 years. Okay? That's quite an accomplishment. And there's quite a few in the state who, when you look at their registration date, you can go back and you can see that they were registered in the 50s or the 60s, and they're still living, which is a good thing. Yeah. And but when you go back and you check at National, you can find gaps in service. People move, they don't get their due statements. And one thing that's important about reinstatement, for why Ralph is pushing everybody, because when you don't pay your dues, there's a gap in service. It's just like your subscription to the NRA. You don't want your NRA membership to expire, okay, or have a gap in service. So we have people that could claim 50, 60 years of membership, but in reality, there's gaps. There's one fellow in another chapter here in North Texas who probably wears a 55-year membership pin. But in checking with him, I found out that he didn't pay any dues between 1971 and 2011. So there's kind of a sizable gap in there. So he wouldn't quite classify as an emeritus member. So an emeritus member is somebody who's actually paid their dues consistently for at least 50 years. And it took a while, but the National Registrar and myself, painstakingly for a couple hours one day, went through the Texas rosters looking for all the emeritus members we could find. And of course, you start and sort by due dates, maybe by membership dates, and go through and look. And lo and behold, we had 3 in the state, and now we have 16. And 7 of them actually were in the Paul Carrington chapter down in Houston. I was impressed that they had 7, because to have 7 that are still living is a good thing. And in checking, we found there were a lot of 50-year members in the Dallas chapter, but we had 2 that were actually paid for 50 years. So what an emeritus member gets, besides a nice certificate to hang on the wall, they don't pay dues anymore. And this comes from national and is supported by the state. And when you look at those buckets on the rosters that I published, there's a little category that says emeritus member, so we separate you out and make you special. That you no longer have to pay your dues. You've been a member of this society for 50 years. So we have one member that's here today we'd like to make a presentation to. Robert Cottrell, would you come on down?
Okay.
No more money from you.
Okay.
Okay.
He's gonna use that money to help Andy. Okay. You need to take a look. In the middle. Now, that looks good. Of course, flag out of place. Fantastic. Thank you. Very good.
Thanks again. Thank you. Have a good day. Get my file, got you.
I wonder if there's any connection between last year, Robert was doing what I did. Now he's been here 50 years. I only need 49 more years and I get one of those.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that the chapter donate $100 to Andy. And I think the chapter should vote on that.
Motion on the floor is that we donate $100 to his project. It's been seconded by John Morton. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Your contribution was on its way.
Thank you. Thank you all.
One of the things I do want to mention as we move forward, we have been going through a series of ROTC presentations at the local high schools. And I got to do my first one, I guess a couple weeks ago. Louder? I'm sorry. I got to do my first ROTC presentation a couple weeks ago. I got to tell you something, I had so much fun. Those kids are so involved and so dedicated. It's just really a grand thing to be involved in. So anybody here who's got some extra time, please check with our secretary because we still have a few open slots to be filled. Matter of fact, when I leave here, as he goes to his high school graduation, I'm going to Louisville and I'm going to present the ROTC presentation to their outstanding cadet. So we can use some help on that. Okay, how about our officers' reports? Well, it just so happens the first vice president is here and I will give you my report. Next meeting in June, we've got another outstanding, I don't know whether we can top Andy, but we've got another outstanding presenter. One of our own, James Battles, PhD. I don't know how many of you know Jim, but Jim and I come to know each other. He went to Miami, Ohio, and he went to Ohio State. I went to Miami, and I went to Ohio State, and we never met each other. But now, years later, here we are in Dallas together in the same chapter, and he's got an outstanding presentation that he wants to make because he is one of the original founding members of the Pilgrims of the United States. And he's got a lot of stuff to tell you. So make sure you're here next meeting. Second Vice President, unfortunately, I think is still recuperating, is not here.
Let me add him.
I'm sorry?
I said, let me add him. Okay, in the capacity of second vice president, for a few months. I've had the opportunity to work the awards for the JROTC and the Outstanding Citizenship medals and certificates that we present. I'm in desperate need, gang. I have 2 left that we need a presenter for May 22nd at J.J. Pierce. It's a 6:30 in the evening presentation assembly. And May 23rd at Liberty Junior High School, which their assembly will be at Berkner High School in Richardson. Both of these are in the Richardson area. Jim Fairbairn has been kind enough to do 2 of them for me, but I've got to get these covered today so that I can alert them and the names go into their programs and so forth. It's very simple. I've even put in a little blurb in there as to what to say, or you can modify it to your standard. And in some of them I've even gotten maps so that you can maps to it or whatever and get there and get out, one of the 2. May 23rd, May 22nd. If you can, the information's on the front here. Stop by after the meeting and then let me know which ones you want. I'm going to quickly insert here that Glenn Cole and Susie brought today a special embroidery or what?
It's just stitched out.
Stitched. It's stitched of Betsy Ross making the flag or designing the flag. It's quite a nice thing. We're not auctioning or having a raffle on this. They just wanted to show it off for you to look at and to read some script. It is here for your edification. Yes, or edification if you can read. And that's it for the Vice President 2. And for Secretary, minutes are on the table. Minutes are posted on the website. I'm sorry they're a little bit late this time. I got tied up with most of the ROTC deal. I move for a motion for acceptance of the minutes unless you have it.
So moved.
Second. Thank you.
All in favor, aye? Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Second Vice President Secretary.
We have some battles.
Treasurer's report. Nick?
Report's passed out as you signed it.
And now it's my pleasure to have Jerry Brown come to the podium. We have some new members.
You're putting new members up.
Oh.
Amen.
He zigged away from the mic.
If I could invite Ken Irons and his wife up here. Ken got through his paperwork while I was still the registrar of Dallas. So it's a pleasure as being his top line sponsor to swear him in this morning. I'll use the mic to do this. Patriot Irons. Hold up your right hand. Thank you. Do you, as a descendant of one of the Patriots, heroes of the American Revolution, reaffirm your ancestors' faith in the principles of liberty and our Constitution Republic? And will you pledge to support the National Society of the Sons of the American Revolution? I will. And now take great pleasure in presenting you your membership certificate. Well, I just...
Those songs are hard to You can move it, everyone. That's why I just
else you want to prep for, Gary?
How's my hair look?
It looks great.
And one of the things I'll ask is your pretty wife to come up and pin on the rosette. And the rosette is the buff and blue of the George Washington uniform. Very nice, thank you. And the last part of this is, I don't remember the entire.
Thanks, Jerry, and by the way, welcome, Count. Glad to have you start.
What committee do you want to chair?
I've got a few opportunities open, as a matter of fact. Okay, the historian report?
Just want to thank Tom Whitelock for digging through his archives and giving me a batch of videotapes. And if anybody else has some old archival material, please see me. Get it to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, how about the chairman, committee chairman report? Membership, Ralph?
Thank you. Membership, well, we're making some progress. According to all the categories that Drake lists, you got to be careful when you look at the roster. The Drake added up 249 at this time. Yeah, we're getting it back. Now, we have, according to the roster, 18 that have not paid. So we're going to try a third campaign. Tom has constructed a letter and talking with Bill Watts, our president. So we're going to mail out this letter from Bill, and hopefully we'll get some replies. It's a very nice letter, well done. Well, 4 of the members on the list have bad addresses. So Tom Smith has volunteered. He's going to call them and see if we can contact them in that way. So also I want to thank everybody who shops at Kroger's because we get points and dollars. So I want to present to the treasurer their check to us for $51.87. Good. That represents $5,100 worth.
Good job. Good job. Thank you. John, you have probably as many committees as anyone, so I'm going to have you start with poster and then just go on through your 3 reports.
Well, the poster contest is over, and
Correct.
our poster runs second in the state. We always do very well in that regard. Tom Whitelock is a big help in that regard. Want to talk about the VAs for a minute?
Sure.
Jim Fairborn and I work with the VA. Every meeting, Bradley Sue here brings coffee, and that's needed. Tom had brought a travel kit, and Jim and I would like to exalt all the members when they come to our meeting. Please bring something. Bring coffee, bring some razors, personal items, toothpaste. And if y'all would do that, Jim and I would be very much appreciated. And we go down once a month and take what we've got. Tom Whitelock is unbelievable. He just magazines and everything. And there's a bookstore in Rockwall that I probably take 200 books every month to the VA. But I would like to exhort everybody, just bring something to a meeting like Bradley Sue does. Every meeting she brings coffee. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim. One of the other chairman, Johnson, he has the American history teacher, which we know that last meeting we had the winner of the essay for the American history teacher, which she was outstanding, by the way. She was good. She did a tremendous job. Okay. Robert Kittrell, color guard.
In this, we have the annual poker
parade, and 2 weeks from today. And again, everybody be there in the color guard that's there be there around 9 o'clock. I know it's that's on the program, but I don't know how they're going to show, unfortunately.
We'll get it turned out.
Work will be in.
Good. Thank you, Roger. Boy Scouts of America, S.A. Hank, are you here? No. Ned Chilling of the American Revolution.
I could stand up here and do a dog and pony show and give you some words about the children of the American Revolution, but since we happen to have the grandmother of the president of the CAR, David Pendleton chapter, who is here with us, I'm going to let her do the honors so you can hear what's really happening. Bradley, sit.
I think I announced we were on the verge from state convention of Trevor Burke being elected state president. Well, he went on to national in late April, and they had the installation of the state presidents at Mount Vernon. We have pictures from there, and they all look so great, all those young men and women that will be serving as the new state presidents. On our local level, from state, we received one of the high merit awards. We did outstanding work in program, service projects, and I, in fact, sent off an email today. My other great-grandchild that's in the group did one of what they call the Pee-wees, and these are the children under 7 or 8 that do projects. Anyway, she, quote, colored some pictures. And anyway, someone in our group has a Pee-wee art certificate. So I'm interested to see, because one of the pictures she was supposed to be coloring had a corner of the flag, and we were talking about the colors. I said, now the stars are white, and the background is blue. So she picked up her blue color and painted every star blue. So, there's no way to reckon. But anyway, James Pendleton is a very active group. And if you have a grandchild or a child that's under, well, it goes through 21, or maybe higher than that, in the CAR, that's a great patriotical group to belong to.
Okay, a couple other agenda items. Old business, anything for the cause? Jerry?
Is June the beginning of summer dress?
June is the beginning of summer dress, that is correct. For those of you who don't understand that, the gentlemen, you do not have to wear ties, and you do not have to wear coats. Okay? Thank you. Other than that, how about new business? Anything for the cause? Okay. Well, with that said, for the good of the chapter or bills against the chapter, everything to be voted on, we already took care of one. I don't see any other hands, so therefore, I think it's about time for door prizes, isn't it? Andy, would you join me up here? I'm going to have you, we give away a little door prize, and I'm going to have you draw tickets. Just run with time. How many door prizes today? 8. 8? Okay. 8. Just pick one. Okay, look at your tickets. Ticket ending in 125. We got a winner. All right. Ticket ending in 092. We got another winner. All right, way to go there.
Right in front of me.
Ticket ending in 094. Hey, all right. Love it. Hey, you picked it. Ticket ending in 118. Do we have a 118?
You go get a book.
Yeah, we'll go talk about
No 118.
I lost mine, can I have that?
Ticket ending 102. 102. We've got one. Okay, Glenn. Ticket ending 117. 117. Ticket 100. Lucky ticket. We've got a Ralph. All right. Ticket 095. Oh.
Is that you? All right.
It is. How many more we got?
That's it.
Okay. Ticket 113. All right. Getting ready for the prayer. Good. And the last one, hopefully, 097. 097. We got it. All right. That should be all. All right. Appreciate it.
Almost down.
She's still down there. You might want to go down there. Go down there.
I'm pretty sure I've already read it. So you might see it on the table next month.
Chaplain Pounders. It is now time for your benediction. Would everybody please stand?
Join me for just a moment. Know that we're going to part from each other in the physical aspect, but in spirit we remain completely and absolutely united in our search for the means to keep peace not only in the United States of America, but peace in the world and peace within the hearts of each and every person in the world. This is our goal. We set about it with joy, and we thank you, God, for the opportunity in the name of the Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the salutation. Until we meet again, let us remember our obligations to our forefathers who gave us our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Supreme Court, and